Hello everyone, welcome to WebDev Warrior. In today's video, we are going to build a MERN stack web application from scratch. We are going to build a notes application where user can create, edit and delete notes. Let me show you a demo of the web application. So this is the application. So if I reload the page, you can see it will load the nodes that are added in the database. Here you can see we have 5 nodes and it displayed here. And as you can see, these nodes, we have the date where it created and we also have a date where it is updated. And here you can see we have a button to add node. So let me click here to add a new node. Here you can see we have a form now where we have to add a title and our node. So let's add some title like WebDev Warriors, and let's say this is the best channel. Now if I click here to add node, you can see now we have 6 nodes, and here you can see we have the latest nodes here, so which is amazing. And now let's see if you want to edit your notes. So here you can see we have an option. So if I click here, it will open a update form page, update note page. And the best thing is here you can see the title and the note are filled up already, so you can change it now. So for now, let's say here I add YouTube, and now if I click here to update note, you can see it's updated. Now we have WebDev Warriors YouTube, which is amazing. Now if you want to delete your node, you can just click here. So if I click here, you can see it's deleted and you do not need to refresh your page, or you cannot do anything else. It's happening in real time, which is amazing. So in this video, you are going to learn all of this. I'm going to teach you every step from scratch. I'm going to teach you how you can set up a backend and front-end project, how you can connect your database, MongoDB database in your backend, how you can create APIs in your backend, how you can connect your APIs to front-end. I'm going to teach you all of this, and we are going to learn a very important concept here, which is a card operation. Card operation means create, update, read and delete, and this is the most fundamental concept in a MERN stack web application, because in future if you build any type of project, you need this card operation. So this is a very important concept. And another important thing is the deployment. In today's video, I am going to show you how you can properly deploy your full stack project in live server. And I'm going to teach you every step from scratch in this video. So, and I encourage you to watch the full video for better understanding. And the source code and the starter file of this project will be given in the description. And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. And now let's start building this application. First, I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to name it Note App YT, and then I'm going to open this with Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to open a new terminal here. And then what we are going to do is, first I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to name it Backend, and I'm going to create another folder and I'm going to name it Frontend. And then here I am going to split the terminal. So here I am going to cd to my front end, and here I am going to cd to my backend. So in this side we are going to run our backend, and this side we are going to run our front end. So first I am going to set up our backend, and we're working on the backend first. So first here what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a command which is npm init, and I'm going to hit enter. So we are initializing an npm here. So the package name, the version, you can just hit enter here, And now you can see we have a package JSON file here. Next, what we need to do is we need to install some of the packages that we are going to use in this backend. So what are the package we are going to use here is, so first we are going to use Express, then we have Mongos, and then we have course. The course is used to make a secure connection between frontend and backend. And then we have .env, and the .env is used for handling the environment variable in our application. So I'm going to hit enter. Now it will install these packages in our project. Now the installation is completed, and another package you have to install if you don't have, which is the nodemon. So I already have nodemon installed in my device globally, so I do not need to install it. But if you don't have nodemon, you can install the nodemon. So next what we are going to do is, here we are going to add another script which is start, and this one will be nodemon and server.js. Now we do not have any server.js now, but we are going to create one to handling our server request and all the stuff. Next, what I'm going to do is in the backend, first I'm going to create a server.js file to handling our servers, and another one is app.js, app related stuff. So first in the app, what I'm going to do is, so before that hit save here, and now in the in the first, let's check is working or not in server.js. If I console log hi server, and then in the backend I'm going to use npm start. As you can see here, we have the hi server console, and we do not need to run our npm script again and again like node index.js, node server.js, because we already have the nodemon, and whenever I hit enter it will rerun our script. And now in the app.js, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to require the express. So I'm going to import the express. So require express, and then I am going to import the course from course, and then I'm going to create an app which is by calling express, and then I'm going to add app.use and then course, and this app.use called the middleware. The middleware is basically the middle function that runs before your response. So in the request response cycle, the middleware runs at the middle. So after the course, we are going to use another middleware which is app.use, and then we have express.json, and this one is for that you can get your data from your request. So to receive the data from the request body, we need to use this middleware. And then here I am going to give a limit of 10 kilobyte. That's it. And finally I am going to export the app. So module dot exports is equal to, now let's go to your server.js, and in server.js we are going to do all the stuff related to the server. We are going to connect our database in the server.js later. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to import our app, and it's require from dot slash app. And next I am going to create an environment file in our backend, and I'm going to name it config.env, and here I'm going to add a port of 8000. Now at server.js we are going to configure our environment variable using our .env. So here we have dot, so we have to require the .env. So const .env is equal to require .env, and after this we are going to configure our environment variable using .env .config, and here we have to put the path, and the path will be /config.env, and that's it. Now I am going to get our port from process.env dot port. If it's empty or undefined, we're going to use 3000. Now we are going to listen to our server. So we're going to create a server, and here we have app.listen, and then we're going to pass our port and then a callback function, and here we are going to console log app running, and here we are using the template literal so that we can add variable here. So running on port and then the port. Now if I hit save, here you can see we have app running on port 8184, but we have port of 8000, so there are some problem here. Here we have a mistake, and it will be the OR operation. So now if I hit save, now you can see here we have 8000 and app running on port 8000. Next we are going to do some error handling in our app, so that we do not need to repeat some of the error handling like the try catch in our project. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a utils folder, and here first I'm going to create a file called catch async.js, and this function is for, so you do not need to repeat the try catch block every times in your controllers, and this will handle the async operation error in our project. So this is just a simple function. So here we have module.export, and then we are going to receive the async function here, and then we are going to return request. So we are going to return request response, and next, the next is a middleware function which calls the next function, and then we are going to catch no, this will be a function, and then we are going to call our function with request response and next, and then dot catch next. So this is the function, and you can use this function all your project in future. So this is the function we are going to use to handling our async function. Next we are going to create another util function which is app error dot js, and here we are going to use a class of app error, and this will be extend error. And now we're going to use a constructor, and we're receiving a message and a status code. Now we're going to call super because the error class needs the message, so we're going to call the super, and we're going to pass the message. And then what we are going to do is we are going to use this dot status code will be the status code, and based on the status code we are going to get our status, and the status will be if the status code starts with, so here we are converting the status code into a string, and we are going to check if it is starts with 4, then it will be fail, otherwise it will be error. And then we are going to add another property which is this dot is operational, and this one will be true. And finally we're going to add error dot capture state trace, and here we are going to pass this and this dot constructor, and this will help you to see where the error happens and which file is responsible for the error. And that's it, we have our constructor app error class. Next we're going to create a controller in our backend controller, and in controller we're going to create a error controller dot js, and I'm going to copy this file and paste it here. So this will be a basic error handling file for your project, and this file will be added in the starter file, and the starter file is in the description. You just need to download the starter file and you can add this error controller in your project. So this is the file where we add a lot of error handling here. You just need to copy this in your project. Here you can see it's handle the cast error in database, duplicate field error. This is the validation error. So this is the JWT error, but we are not going to use JWT here, but it's good to have this. So these are the basic error handling that you need in every big project. So you just need to copy and paste it here. Now go to your app.js, and after this we are going to, so here we are going to use our routes for nodes. So this one will be our nodes route, and then this one will be error handling. So here we are going to say app dot all. So after handling the nodes route, so if none of the route matches the node routes, that means there are some error or the requested URL is not exist in our project. So in that case we are going to catch all of that types of request, So we are going to use this to define all the routes, and then we are going to add request response and next, and now we are going to use next, and we're going to initialize a new app error, and this app error we're going to import this from our utils. So let's import this. So const app error, and I'm going to require it from dot slash utils slash app error. And now here in the app error we are going to use a template literal, and we have to pass a message and a status code. So for the message we are going to use can't find, then the request dot original URL. So the URL that are requested is not on the server, so can find the URL on this server. Now for the status code it will be 404, and that's it. This will handle all the route that do not have in the server. Next we are going to import our controller, so error handling controller. So const, and we are going to name it global error handler, and we are going to require it from dot slash controller slash error controller, and then here we are going to add app dot use global error handler. Then I'm going to hit save, and now this will handle our error in this project. Now we are going to connect MongoDB database in our application. So for this, go to your browser and search for MongoDB, and then go to the Atlas database. So if you don't have any account, you just need to create one, and it's completely free. I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in now, and this will redirect you to the MongoDB dashboard. Then click here to new project, then give a project name. I'm going to give it node application, and then click here to next, then click here to create project, then click here to create a cluster, and then select the free plan, and then click here to create deployment. Now here you have your username and password. You can change your password if you want. Now what I am going to do is I am going to copy these two in my environment variable. So let's go to the config, and here we have database. Let's say db username, and then we have db password, and we will copy this to from here. So copy the username and paste it here, and then copy the password and paste it here. Then click here to create database user, then click here to choose a connection method, and here we are going to connect it with our Node.js application. So here you can see access your Atlas data using MongoDB native drivers such as Node.js, Go, and etc. So I'm going to click here. Now here you can see you have a connection string. So the best option is to hide the password. Now copy this string and then go to your environment variable, and I'm going to create another one which is db, and I'm going to paste this connection string, and this password I'm going to make it capitalized. And then in the development process we are going to replace this password with our db password. Now go to your application mongodb and then click here to done. Next, now you can see you are in your node application, and the next thing is go to your network access and then click here to add API address, and here allow access from anywhere, and then click here to confirm. Now the status is pending, so it's active now. Now let's go to your cluster, and if you click here to browse collection, so you can see your collection here. So now what we are going to do is we are going to connect our MongoDB in our application in Visual Studio Code. We already have the necessary information that we need, which is database password, database username, database string. Now let's go to the server.js, and here at the top I'm going to import Mongos, and it will be coming from require Mongos, and then here to remove this console log, and here what we are going to do is we're going to create a db string, and then let's say it's db, and then what we are going to do is we are going to use the process dot n dot db dot, and we are going to replace. So what we are going to replace, we are going to replace the password. So we are going to replace the password, and we are going to replace it with process dot inf dot db password. So we are replacing our password with, so if I show you, so what we are doing is we are replacing this password and we are putting this password here, database password here, which is the safe way. And next we are going to connect our database. So mongos dot connect, and we are going to pass this db, and then we are going to use a callback function, and then we are going to console log db connection successful, and then what we are going to do is we are going to catch any error, and then we are going to console log the error. Now if I hit save, so here we have a problem. Now if I hit save, now you can see db connection successful. So we successfully connect our database. Next, we are going to create a model for our nodes. So for this, I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to name it model. And in model, I'm going to create node model.tsx, not tsx.js. Now here first I am going to import mongoose, to require mongoose, and then I'm going to create a node schema, and this one will be new mongoose dot schema, and here first we have a title in our node and the type will be string and required is true. That means we must need to pass this title. So required will be true, then we are going to use stream true, and then we have max length. The max length will be 100. So after the title we will have a content, and this one will be type of string, and then the required will be true. Next we are going to have a created at, and this type will be date, and default will be date dot now by the time the node is created. And then we have another one which is updated at, and this one will be same as this, but the default will be null. Now we are going to const node equal to mongoose dot model, and then node and node schema, and finally we are going to export our nodes. So module dot exports is equal to node. That's it. So this is our node model. Next we are going to create a controller which is node controller dot js. In the node controller, so the spelling, it will be in small case, small letter. So in the node controller we are going to create some function like creating the node, getting the node, update the node, delete the node. So first I am going to exports dot get all nodes, and here we are going to use our catch async. So we are going to import the catch async, and we are going to wrap our async function here, so we do not need to handle our async function using try catch. So here async rec res and next, request response and next. And here we're going to get our nodes, and then I'm going to use the node model to import node from model. So node dot find, this method will give you all the nodes in the database, and then I'm going to sort it. So we're going to sort it based on created at -1. So it will make sure that the latest node comes first. And after that, we're going to use response.status. We're going to send a response. So the status code will be 200, and then we're going to send a JSON object. The status will be success, and then we're going to pass a data object, and inside this data object we're going to pass our node. That's it. So here this will be inside a curly brace. So that's, so these are get all nodes controller. Next we have another one which is get a node by their ID. So this is like getting an individual nodes based on their IDs. So I'm going to create another function, exports get node by ID, and again we are going to use catch async, and then an async function, request response and next. And inside this we're going to get the ID from the params. So request dot params dot ID. So something like, let's say the URL is localhost 3000 and slash the ID. Let's say this is the ID. So we are receiving this ID from this params. And when I go to the route section, you will understand this. After we getting the ID, we're going to check. So if there is no ID, then we are going to return the next new app error. So app error, and the message will be no node found, and the status code will be 404. So you have to import the app error. So const app error require dot slash dot slash util slash app error. So this is the app error, and here I forget to export. So module dot exports and app error. So make sure you export this. So now if I save, and let's go to the node controller, and after handling this, we are going to use const. So here we have to await this, and now here we are going to get the node. We're going to await node dot find by ID. So we are finding a document using the ID, and then we are going to pass the ID. And finally, we are going to send back a response. So rest dot status with 200 dot json, and the status will be success, and the data will be the single node. So that's it. This is the get node by id. Then we're going to create a function to create a node. So exports dot create node, and we have our catch async, then the async function, request, response, and next. And if you do not use this catch async, you have to do this. So try catch and then add your logic here, then handling the error here. But using this catch async, we can replace this try catch, and we do not need to use the try catch here. Now in the create node, we are going to get a title and a content from request dot body, and now we're going to check if there is no title or there is no content, then we are going to return the next app error. So new app error, and the message will be title and content are missing, and the status code will be 400. And next we are going to create a new node. So new node, and pass the title and content. Then we're going to await new node dot save, and this will save the node in the database. And now we are going to send back a response. So rest dot status, and this one will be 201 for create dot json, and then we have status of success, and the data will be the new node. That's it. So this is our create node. Next we have another one for update node. So exports dot update node will be catch async, then async, and request, response, and next. And what we are going to do in the update node, we first need to get the id. So which nodes we are going to update? So first we are going to get the id from request dot params, and then we are going to get the title and content from the request dot body, and so now what we are going to do is const updated at, this one will be await node dot find by id and update, and first we are going to pass our id, and then a object, and then we are going to pass the title, the content, and then so here we have an error. So first we are going to pass the id, then we have this object of title and content, and we are going to use the updated tag, and this one will be date dot now. And then here we have another object. This one will be new and true. So that will update our node. Next we are going to check if there is no updated node, that means no nodes found. So here we have a mistake. This one will be updated node. Now if we are going to check if there is no updated node, then we are going to return next new app error, and the message will be no node found, and it will be 404. And now we are going to send the response. So we are going to use res dot status, then we have 200 dot json, and status will be success, and then the data will be updated node, and that's it. This is our update node function. Then we have another one which is delete node. So exports dot delete node, again we have catch sync, then async rec response, and next, and we will get the id from request.params, and this one will be inside an object. I think I have done the mistakes here also. It will be inside the object. So here we already add the dot id, so we do not need to use the object. So then we are going to use const, so we are going to await. We do not need to store anything here because we are deleting. So note dot find by id and delete, and we're going to pass the id. So let's add this in. No, we do not need to. Then what we are going to do is res dot status, 204.json, and the data will be null. So this is our delete node. So all of our controllers function are implemented now. Now we are going to set up our route. For this, I am going to create a new folder inside my backend, and I am going to name it routes. And then inside this, I'm going to create a node route.tsx.js. Node router node router.js. And here first I'm going to import express to require express. Then I'm going to create a router express dot router. And then for now I'm going to export the router. So module dot exports router. Next I'm going to open my app.js, and here, so this is the routes for node. So first let's import the route. So const node router equal to require dot slash route slash node router. Now here I'm going to add so app.use and then slash API slash v1 slash nodes, and then I'm going to add our node router. So this is the common part. This will add it to all the routes that we create in the node route. So this route will look like local host 3000 slash API slash v1 slash nodes. So this part will be automatically added in the node router. Now let's open the node router, and here, so router dot route. So this slash means now we already have the common part like local host 3000 slash API slash v1 slash nodes, and then this slash. So this will be our routes for this one. And in this route, first we are going to add our get functionality. So we are going to get, and here we are going to add our controller. So get all nodes. Then in the same URL, if we hit a post request, we are going to run our create node. And then I'm going to create another route. So router.route slash id, and this is the param syntax. So this will receive a id. So now it will look like localhost 3000 slash API slash v1 slash node slash like id1. So this will be the route, and in this route we are going to run our first the get request. If we hit a get request, we are going to run get node by id, and then for update we are going to use the patch request, and it will be update node So update node, and then in the delete we're going to run our delete request. So delete node. Now if I hit save, so this is our router. So basically all the part is completed. Let's test this routes and controllers to see if our APIs works or not. So to testing these APIs, we are going to use an application called Postman. If you don't have these apps, you can download it for free. So this is the Postman. So I'm going to clear the previous request. Let's create a new collection here. So blank collection. Let's name it node YT. And here let's use our localhost 3000 slash API slash v1 slash nodes. So first let's create a node. So for this we have a post request. Let's go to the body, then raw, and then select the JSON. And in the body we have to pass first the title, let's say my node, and we have to pass the content. Let's say this is the first node. Now let's click here to send the request to see if everything works or not. So if I click here, you can see there are some error. So this will be localhost 8000 because we are running our apps in 8000. Now if I click here to send, now you can see the status is success and we successfully created a node. Here you can see the new node, and we have the title, content, created at, updated at, ID, and then we have this dash dash v. So let's go to the controller, node controller. In the create node, let's make it node, and the node will be new node. Let's create another one like my node MERN. So this is the first MERN project. Checked. Now if I hit send, now you can see in data we have node, the title, the content, the created at, the updated at, it's null. Then we have the ID and then this. So let's save this one. So save and create node, and we're going to save it in node YT and hit save. And by doing this you can structure your API request here. So the next one is to get all the posts. So I'm going to copy this and in the new tab, and this will be a get request. So if I send it, you can see here we have two nodes that we created. So all the nodes are sent in this API routes. So let's save this one also. Get all nodes, then hit save. Now we are going to check get node by ID. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and from get all node I'm going to copy a ID. So let's copy this one and then put the ID here. Now if I click here to send, now you can see we have only one node. So this is our get node by ID. Get node by id. Let's say get single note. Now I am going to copy this one and I'm going to paste it here, and this one will be a patch request to see if the updates work. So now in the body, the raw JSON, and here I'm going to change the title, and let's say the title is updated. Now if I click here to send, now you can see we have our change title. So here you can see the title is updated, so our update is also working. So let's take this one, update node, and we have a final one which is the delete node. So let's copy this one and we're going to delete this one, paste it here, and this one will be delete. Now if I hit send, now you can see we have no content and we do not return anything in our delete functionality. Now let's go to your get all nodes, and if I click here to send, and here you can see now we have only one node because the other one is deleted. Now let's save the delete one. So I'm going to name it delete node. So this is it. All of our backend functionality is working now. So the backend is completed. Now we are going to start working on our front end. So for this, let's remove all of this backend code from here. So now in the front end here, you can see in this side of terminal, we already cd to our front end, and here we are going to install Next.js. So we are going to use Next.js for our front end. Here I am going to use npx create next app at latest, and then I'm going to add a dot slash so that all the necessary packages are installed in the front end folder. Now I'm going to hit enter. Now it's asked me, would you like to use TypeScript? Yes, we are going to use TypeScript. We are going to use ESLint. We are going to use Tailwind CSS. We do not need the source directory, and we are going to use the app router, and we do not need to customize or import aliases. Now I'm going to hit enter, and now it will install all the necessary packages to initialize a Next.js project. So let's wait some time to complete the installation. So all the packages are installed successfully. Now go to your Tailwind config ts, and here remove this extended part. We do not need this one. And then go to the app and global.css and remove all the extra design or styling because we do not need it here. Now go to your page.tsx, and this is the main page. When you go to the localhost 3000, this page will appear on the screen. So here I'm going to use a shortcut which is RAFC to create a component boilerplate, and I'm going to name it homepage. And to use the shortcut, you have to install a extension, and the extension is this one, ES7 React Redux and React Native Snippet. By installing this extension, you can use the shortcut. Now here I am going to use a Tailwind class to see if Tailwind is working or not. So I am going to give text of 9xl. Now if I hit save and run our project using npm run day, let's see if our Tailwind is working or not. Now let's go to your browser and go to the localhost 3000. Now as you can see, we have the bigger text. That means our Tailwind is working properly. Now let's remove this one because we do not need it here, and then go to your public, and here create a folder called images, and we're going to use a logo here, and I'm going to copy the image, and this image will be given in the starter file, so you don't need to worry about it. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in my image folder. So now we have our logo. Next, what we are going to do is, if I go to the complete project, so in the complete project, you can see we have a navbar where we have the logo and a add node button. So first we are going to work on this one. So first what we are going to do is we are going to create a file called nav.tsx, and here I am going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and in this navbar we are going to add it in our layout folder. So this layout is the main layout for our project, and first we are going to add our nav, and then we have our children. That's how we are going to add the navbar for all the pages that we are going to create in this project. Now go to your navbar, and the first div have a class name of width of 90%, mx will be auto, height will be 14 vh, and it will be flex, items will be center, justify will be between. And then inside this div we'll have a link which is coming from next link, and then this link will go to the home page, and inside this link we're going to have an image component from next image, and the source will be slash images slash logo dot png, the alt will be logo, and the height will be 170, and width will be 170. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our logo, and if I click here it will go to the localhost 3000, the home page. Then after the link we'll have another div with class name of flex, items will be center, cursor will be pointer, spacex will be 2, and the border will be 2 pixels. In hover the background will be gray 200, transition will be all, and duration will be 200, and the rounded will be large, px will be 4 in the x direction padding, and py in the y direction padding will be 2. Now inside this div we have another div with class name of in small devices width will be 8, in small devices height will be 8, otherwise width will be 6 and height will be 6, background will be rows 500, rounded will be full, and it will be flex, items will be center, and justify center, and flex will be in the column direction. Then inside this div we are going to have an icon. So for the icon we are going to use React icon. So go to your website and then go to the React icons library. So we're going to use these packages for the icons, and here you can see they have a lot of icons here. So I'm going to open their npm package and then copy their script, npm script, and then I'm going to stop the terminal from now for now, and I'm going to paste the npm script to install the React icons here. Now it's completed. Now let's run our project again using npm run dev. Now here inside this div we are going to have a plus icon. So we're going to use bi plus, and here we have the text of white. In small devices width will be 6, in small devices height will be 6, otherwise width will be 4 and height will be 4. Then after this div we are going to have another div, and the text will be add note, and this div will have a class name of, in small devices text will be large, otherwise text will be base, and font will be bold, it will be in uppercase. So here it shows some error because here we have some mistakes, so I'm going to cut it, and then this will be inside the class. Now if I hit save, and now if I go to the project, here you can see we have our add node, but the icon is not the one we want, so this one will be the plus icon, so bi plus. Now if I hit save, now it looks good. So this is our navbar. Next what I'm going to do is, in my front end I'm going to create a new file for the environment variable, and I'm going to name it .in.local, and here I'm going to create an environment variable which is next public API URL, and then here I am going to use our, so let's copy this one and paste it here, and this one will be our backend URL, and this is localhost 8000 slash API slash v1. And when we deploy our project in the live server, we are going to change this URL to our actual deployed backend URL. So for now it's okay. Next I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a file called server.ts, and here I'm going to export a constant API URL, and this one will be process dot in dot next public API URL. That's it. Now we have our base URL for our backend. Next what we are going to do is, we are going to build this notes section. So for this I am going to create a new file in my app, and I'm going to name it note.tsx, and I'm going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate. Next, what first I'm going to declare a type for our nodes. So type nodes, and the nodes will contain a ID, and this is the mongodb ID where we add this underscore, and this one will be of type string. Then we are going to get a title which is also of type string. Next we have the content of string, and we have updated at, and this one will be date, and created at, this one will also be of type date. Next what we are going to do is, we are going to fetch our nodes from database, and then we are going to show the fetched node in our home page. So for this I'm going to first convert this into a client component using use client, and then here I'm going to first create a state variable const nodes and set nodes, and this one will be use state, and initially it will be an empty array, and the nodes will be a type of nodes array. That's it. Next we're going to fetch our nodes. So to fetch our nodes, I'm going to create a function const fetch nodes. This one will be an async function, and inside this we're going to have a try catch block, and in the error case we're going to console log the error. Now in the try catch we're going to get our response, and the response we're going to await, and we're going to fetch, and then we're going to use our API URL. So API URL will comes from the server, and then we have the nodes. So this is our response. Then we are going to get our response data, and this one will be await response.json, and finally we are going to set nodes, and here we are going to set response data.nodes. So this is our fetch nodes. Now we are going to run this function in the use effect so that we can get the real-time nodes from the database. So for this I'm going to create a use effect, and inside this use effect we are going to run our fetch nodes. Now if I hit save, and let's console log the nodes. Let's see if it works or not. Now go to your application and inspect, go to the console, and let's refresh the page. So we have to add this. We don't add the node here, so we are going to add the node in our home page. So here we're going to have our nodes. So here we're going to add our node component. Now if I hit save, now you can see here we have our node. So in the database we only have one node, and this is here the content, the created head, title, and all of the properties. So we successfully fetch our nodes from database. Next what we are going to do is we are going to show the node. So for this, here we are going to start styling our project, our node section. So the first div have a class name of width will be 80%, image will be auto, margin top will be 16, and then inside this we will have an h1, and the h1 will have a class name of text for Excel. In smaller devices and higher, text will be 5 Excel, and in medium and large screen, text will be 6 Excel, and font will be medium. And inside this h1 we will have the text nodes, and then we have a span, and here we are going to show the number of nodes, and that will be nodes dot length, and this span will have a class name of text green 600, text green 600. Now if I hit save and go to the project, here you can see we have the text nodes and we have one nodes, that's why it says 1. Now after the h1 we have another div, and this div have a class name of grid. Grid calls will be 1. In medium screen, grid calls will be 2, and then in large screen, grid calls will be 3, gap will be 10, margin top will be 10, and margin bottom will be 10. And then inside this div, we are going to map through our nodes array, and we are going to show a individual node cards. And so for this, here we have our nodes dot map, and we will get an individual node, and here we are going to show a node card. So node card component. So for this I'm going to create another component here, which is node card dot tsx. I'm going to use rfc to create the component boilerplate, and then in the node, so here first we will have a div, and then inside this div we are going to have our node card, and we have to pass the key here in our div. So key will be node dot underscore id, and we have to return this. Now if I hit save, and here you can see we have one node card because we only have one node. So here we are going to pass the node as a props. So now we have to receive the props in our node card, and we have to give them a proper type definition. So for this, let's hover here. So we already have a node type. I'm going to copy this, and then go to the node card, and at the top I'm going to paste the type, and this one will be props, and we are receiving node. So we are receiving node, and this one will be the node's property. So this is it. So the props will be node, and the node will contain an id, title, content, updated at and created at. So here let's pass the props. Let's make it uppercase, props, and now here import the node, and that's it. Now you can see the complaint is gone in here. Now in the node card, the first div have a, so before that, okay, so let's, this div have a class name of padding of 8, overflow will be hidden, background will be blue 900, rounded will be large, and this one will be relative position. Then inside this we have a p, and this p have a class name of text small, text color will be yellow 300, and it will be flex, items will be centered, Spaces will be 2, margin bottom will be 4, and font will be semi-bold. Then inside this p tag we have a span, and inside this span we have a calendar icon. So we have be a calendar, and then we have another span, and here we will have the created date. So node dot created date. Now if I do that, you can see the date is not formatted well. So that's why we have to format our dates. So to format our dates, I am going to create a function outside of the component here, and I'm going to name it format date. Here we're going to receive a date, and this will be a type of date, and then first we have date value, and this one will be new date, and the date we are receiving will pass here. Next we're going to return a new intl dot date time format, and here we are going to pass some parameter. So first one is, then we have some options. So the day will be numeric, the month will be long, and the year will be numeric, and then dot format, and we are going to give our date value. So that's it. Now here in our component we are going to have a create date, and now we are going to format it using our format data function, and then we are going to pass our node dot created at. Now if I hit save, and here if I pass our create date and it's saved, if I go to the application, here you can see it's beautifully formatted. Now we have a proper date format and it looks very nice. Next we have the title, and then the content, and a edit button and a delete button. So after the p tag we have a h1 with our note dot title, and then we have a p tag with note dot content. Now the h1 will have a class name of text white, text 3xl, margin bottom will be 4, font will be bold. Now if I hit save, and the p will be class name of text base, margin bottom will be 4, width will be 90%, then text will be white, text opacity will be 70. Now if I hit save, and let's go to the, here you can see we have our title and our content. Next we have another property which is the last update. So if the node is updated, we are going to show the latest update date. So for this, at the top, we are going to create a variable called updated update date, and then we are going to check if node dot updated at property exists. That means we have updated date. Then we are going to initialize our update data, and then we are going to data format date, sorry, and we are going to pass our node dot updated date. So updated it. So now we will get our update date, and then after this p1 we are going to check if node dot updated at property exists, and then we are going to show a p tag, and here we are going to show the updated date, and the text will be last update. Now this p tag will have a class name of text small, text will be white, text opacity will be 65, margin bottom will be 4, font will be semi bold. Now if I hit save, and this note is not edited, that's why the updated date is not showing. But when we are going to implement the update functionality, we are going to check this if it's working or not. Next we have the edit button and the delete button. First we have a link here which is coming from our next link, and the href will be slash update node slash, and then we are going to pass the node id. So node dot id. So this route is not implemented yet, but we are going to implement it later when we working on the update node functionality. For now, let's just implement the link. Now inside this we have a div, and this div have a class name of width will be 8, height will be 8, background will be orange 700, in hover bg will be orange 900, transition will be all, duration will be 150, rounded full, and this will be an absolute positioning. Then we have top of 4, cursor will be pointer, right will be 4, and flex items will be center. Then we have justify of center, and flex direction will be in the column. Now inside this tab we will have a pencil icon, so we have bi pencil, and this will have a class name of text white, and we have width of 6, height of 6. Now if I hit save and go to our site, here you can see we have our edit icon. then we need a delete icon. So for this I'm going to copy the link, and this one we do not need the link here, so let's delete the link. And then we are going to change some of this, so this one will be rows, and hover it will change to rows 900. Then we have right of 4 and bottom of 4, so this one will be bottom of 4, and the button will be, not the button, I mean the icon will be a trash icon, so bi trash. Now if I hit save, and here you can see we have our delete icon, so we have our edit and delete icon. Now we're going to work on the add node functionality. So for this I am going to create a folder called add node, and then inside this I'm going to create a file called page.tsx. so this will be an route, and I'm going to use RFC to create the component boilerplate, and I'm going to name it add node page. So add node. Now when we click on the add node button in the navbar, so this is the button, so I want to redirect the user to the add node page. So here I'm going to use a link which is coming from our next link, and here I am going to wrap all of this inside this link, and the href will be slash add node. Now if I hit save, and let's go to the application, and if I click here to add node, you can see it redirects to the add node page. Now let's go to the add node page, and the add node, the first div will have a class name of width will be 80%, mx will be auto, and then we have h1, and this h1 will say add new node, and then the h1 will have a class name of margin top of 20, text will be to excel, and smaller devices and higher text will be 4XL, text color will be orange 800, font will be bold, and if I hit save, here you can see we have the text of add new node, so just like the deployed one. And then we have this title and this your node text box, and then a button. So after the h1 we have another div with a class name of margin top of 12, and inside this div we have a form, and currently we do not need any action here. And then inside this form we have an input of type text, the placeholder will be title, and this input will have a class name of block, px will be 4, py will be 3, width will be 90%, and smaller devices width will be 70%, outline will be none, bg will be gray to 100, bg will be gray to 100, and rounded will be md. Now if I hit save, here you can see we have our title. Next we have a text area. So let's create a text area. So we do not need the name and ID. The rows will be 10, and this one will be a self-closing. Then after row we have the placeholder, and it will say your note, and then I'm going to copy the class name. Then we are going to paste it here, and I'm going to hit save. And here we have extra class, which is margin top of 4. Now if I hit save and go to our project, here you can see we have our your notes text area, which looks very nice. Then we have a button. So we have a button with add note, and the button, the type will be submit, and I'm going to copy the class name from here, and I'm going to paste it here. Now here I'm going to change the background to bg blue 600, and in hover bg blue 800. Now if I hit save, here you can see we have our button, but we need to change the text color to white. So the text will be white. Now if I hit save, now it looks nice. So now we have a add new note form. Next we have to collect this title and this notes. So for this we need to use the use state, and that's why I'm going to convert this into a client component. So use client, and then at the top we are going to first import a router from use router, because later we are going to use the router dot push. And one thing is you have to import it from next navigation. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a state variable with title and set title. This one will be use state and an empty string initially. Next we have the content and set content and the use state, and initially it will be an empty string. Now in the form on change handler, we will get the event, and we are going to set our title to e dot target dot value, and then at the text area we are going to use on change property. On change we are going to get the event, and then e dot and set the content to e dot target dot value. Now we have our title and the content stored in our state variables. Next we are going to create a add node request to our backend to add the node in the database. So for this let's create a function called add node handler, and then this will be an async function, and we are going to get an event which will be type of react dot form event, and HTML form element. This is the type of the event. So first here I'm going to use e.prevent default, and for now let's log in a object our title and content. Now let's add this in our form. So in the form on submit, we are going to submit our add node handler. Now if I save, and now let's go to your project and let's inspect and go to the console, and let's add a title like title, and here let's say content. Now if I click here to add node, now you can see our title and content are logged in. That means we successfully stored our title and content. Now we have to send a request to our backend to add the node. So let's remove the console log, and here create a try catch block, and if we catch any error we are going to just console log the error, and in the try catch we are going to first create a new node, and here we are going to insert our title and our content. Now we have our body. Next we are going to create a variable called response, and then await. We are going to use fetch, and then we are going to use our API URL, which is basically the localhost 8000 slash API slash v1, our backend URL. And then here we have our nodes, and then we have to pass some of the option, which is the method. The method will be post. Here you can use other third-party library to handle the request, but here I am going to use the base JavaScript fetch API. And next we have the headers, and the headers will be content type application slash JSON, and then we're going to pass the body, which is JSON dot stringify, and pass the new node. That's it. Next what we are going to do is we're going to check if the response is okay, then we're going to push to the home page. So our user will go to the home page, and here we're going to use router.push to the home page. Else we are going to log a error, which is so console log, or you can use console.error, and here we're going to send a message which is fail to add node. That's it. Now here we are sending the post request to our backend to add our nodes. Now let's check if it works or not. So go to your project, and let's say the title, say React, let's say next JS course, and let's say next JS is fun to learn. Now click here to add node. Now you can see you redirect to your home page and you have your notes, and you can see the date, it's 21 August, and you can see your title and your content, and it's amazing. Now you will just learn how you can create a note in backend. So our add note functionality is works perfectly. Now we are going to implement the update functionality. So if I show you the deployed version, here you can see this is a node. So if I want to update or edit the node, I have to click here, and then it will redirect us to an update page. And the noticeable thing is you can see the title and the content is already filled in the form so that you can edit it. So to build this, the plan is we are going to create a update node page, and we're going to pass the ID as a param. So as you can see, this is the ID, and based on this ID, we're going to fetch the node and we're going to fill the text box. So that is the plan. So for this, let's go to the code editor, and here I'm going to create another route, which is update node. And here we are going to add a dynamic routing because we are going to pass the ID as a param. So here we will get an ID, and then we are going to add a page.tsx. Now I am going to use RAFC to create the component boilerplate, and I am going to name it update node. Now if I hit save, and if I go to here, and now we already implemented the route when we click the edit icon. So if I click here, it will go to the update node, and here you can see we have our ID as a params. Now we have to receive the params here. So to receive the params here, we need to do is, so params, then we have params, which is an object of ID, and it will be string. So that's it. So this is the type definition for the params that we are receiving here. Then what we are going to do is we first extract the ID here. So the ID will be params dot id. Now if I console log the ID, you can see here we have our ID. Now we have our ID. Next, let's fetch the node based on this ID. So for this, what I am going to do is, first I am going to create a state variable, and to work with the state we need use state, and for this I am going to convert this a client component. And then here we have const, and first we have title, and then set title, then we have use effect, not use effect, use state, and initially it will be empty. Then we have const content and set content, then we have use state, and then empty string. So these are state variable for title and content. Next we are going to use the use effect. So let's use use effect, and the use effect will run when the ID is changed. And here we're going to check if there is an ID. So if we have ID, then we're going to run, so const fetch node, it will be an async function, and inside this we're going to use the try catch block, and in the catch block we're going to catch the error and console dot error, and we're going to console the error here. and in the try catch we're going to get the response and we're going to await and then fetch. Then we are going to use our API URL. Then we have slash nodes slash, then you are going to pass the ID. So this will send the request to our backend to get a node based on their ID. Now we are going to get the data. So response data will be await response dot json. Then we are going to have a node which will be response data dot node, and then we are going to set our title to node dot title and set our content to node dot content, and then we are going to call the fetch node function. That's it. Now let's console log our title and content. Now if I hit save and let's go to our site, then inspect in the console. Here you can see we have an object, but the title and the content is empty. Let's reload the page. Now you can see we have our content and title. So this is the node based on the ID. So we already have that. Now next what we are going to do is we are going to bring the form here. So let's copy the content from the add node. So copy all of this. So if you want you can create a reusable component, but for now I am going to copy this and then I'm going to paste it here and I am going to change some of them. So for now let's delete the on submit, and this one will be update node. Then here we're going to add a property called value, and the value will be the title, and then this one will also have a value. So we are filling the input and text area with the current node value. So this one will be content. That's it. And this one will be update node. Now if I hit save, and now you can see we already fill our text area with the nodes content, and now here we have a button and the page is ready. Next what we are going to do is we are going to send a update request to our database to update our nodes. So let's make it uppercase. So now we are going to create a function to handle the update request. For that let's create a function here. So const update handler, this one will be an async function, will receive an e, and you will be react dot, so it will receive an event and it will be type of react dot form event, and then HTML form element. So this is the type, and then this will be an async function. Okay, so now we are going to prevent the default behavior of the form. So e dot prevent default, and now on the form on submit we are going to run our update handler, and here we are going to use a try catch block. So try catch, in the catch we are going to console dot error the error, and in the try catch we are going to first prepare our node data, and this one will be title and content. Then we are going to send the request. So const response await fetch, and then use the API URL slash nodes slash and then the ID. Then we're going to pass some option here. So the first one is the method. The method will be patch, then the headers, and then content type will be application slash JSON, and finally the body will be JSON dot stringify, and then the node data. So that's it. That will send the request to our backend, and then we are going to check if response is okay, is true. Then we are going to use router. So for this I am going to add a router here. So const router, we use router from next navigation, and make sure it's from the next navigation. Then here if it is okay, then we have router dot push, and we are going to go to the home page. Else we are going to console log, and it will be failed to update node, and that's it. So this is our update handler. Now let's check if it works or not. First let's go to the home page. Let's select this one, and you can see the content is filled up already. So let's say my node updated. This is the first node, and it's now updated. And now let's click here to update node. Now you can see the title is updated to my node updated, and here you can also see this is the first node and it's now updated. And another thing is you can see the last update is 21 August 2024, and here you can see it's created in 20 August and it's updated in 21 August, and that's awesome. Now you just implemented the update functionality in your node application. The final feature that is left is to delete the node using the delete button. So for that, go to your node component, and here we're going to create a delete functionality. So I'm going to create a function called handle delete. This will be an async function, and it will receive an id of type string. The id will be the node that we are going to delete, and then this will be an arrow function. Then we need to use the try catch block, and in the catch block we are going to just console log the error, and then in the try block we're going to send the delete request to our backend. So const response will be await fetch, and we're going to use the template literal here and use the API URL, then slash nodes slash the ID that we are receiving as a, so the ID that we are receiving here, and then we are going to pass some options here. The one is the method. The method will be the delete, so delete, and then we are going to check if response is okay. If the response is okay, then we are going to filter out the deleted node from our nodes here. So here we are going to use the set nodes, and we will get the previous nodes, and then we are going to use previous nodes dot filter. We will get an individual node, and then if the node dot id is not equal to the id we are receiving, and that's well remove the node from our node array. And if the response is not okay, then we are going to console log failed to delete. That's it. Now what we are going to do is we are going to pass this function as a props in our node card. So beside the node we are going to pass the function on delete, and here we are going to pass the handle delete. Now go to the node card, and first in the node here we are receiving a on delete, and this will be a function that receives an id of string, and it will be an arrow function that returns void. And then let's import the on delete here, and when I click this trash button, so on click, we are going to run this on delete and pass the node dot id. That's it. Now if I save and if I go to here, and let's delete this one, so if I click here, you can see the node is deleted. Now we have one node only, so which is amazing. Now we have completed our full card functionality. We first implemented the APIs, and now we implemented it in our front end, and everything is works perfectly. Now you can add node, you can edit node, you can delete node. Our application is completed. Now we are going to deploy our project in the live server. To deploy our project, first we need to push our project in GitHub. So first I'm going to open my GitHub account. And then I'm going to click here to create a new repository. So first we are going to deploy our backend, and next we are going to deploy our frontend. So I'm going to name it node yt backend, and this will be a private repository. And then I'm going to click here to create repository. Now let's go to your code editor, and for now stop your server here. And before doing anything, first we need to ignore this node module file and this config.env file, because we do not want to push this in our GitHub. So for that reason, I'm going to create a file called .git ignore, and we are going to ignore node modules and also .env. Now I'm going to hit save, and now go to your backend and use git init to initialize a git, and then add using git add dot, and then use git commit, and for the message let's say node backend, and then go to your GitHub, and we completed this. Let's copy this one, so let's copy this one and then paste it here. Next we need to add the remote origin, so copy this and then paste it here. And finally we have to push our project, so git push origin main, copy this and paste it here. Now our git push is completed. Let's go here and refresh the page. Now you can see we have our backend project in the GitHub. Here we have model, controller, routes, utils. Now we are going to deploy our project in live server or backend project, and for this we are going to use a platform called Render, and it's completely free, that's why we are using it. So let's go to Render dashboard, and if you don't have any account you can create one with completely free. So here I'm going to sign up with my GitHub, and now I'm redirect to the dashboard, and here I'm going to click here to create new, then web service, and I'm going to import this node yt backend. This is the one I created recently, and then click here to connect. Then here you need to keep in mind this start command. I repeat again, make sure you change this to your according to your file system. So if I show you ours, here you can see we start our script using server.js, not index.js. That's why I'm going to change this. So node server.js. So that's it. This is the one thing that you have to keep in mind. Otherwise, your project will not deploy successfully. It will be failed. Then I'm going to click here to use the free plan, and then we have to add the environment variable. So click here to add from .env, and now go to your project, and then in the config.env copy all of these and just paste it here. Then click here to add variables. Now it added your port, your database username, db password and db string, and then click here to deploy web service. The deployment is started now, so let's wait some time to complete the deployment. Here you can see the deployment is successful. Here we have the live indicator here. That means our project is successfully deployed. Now you have this link. So this URL. Now if I click here and then go to our API routes. So slash API slash v1 slash nodes. Boom, here you can see we have our nodes, and this is not from the local host, this is from the deployed backend. So here you can see we have our deployed URL. So you successfully deployed your backend project in live server. That's awesome. Next we are going to deploy our front end. So for this, go to your GitHub and click here to create a new repository, and then let's name it node yt frontend. Then it will be a private repository, and then click here to create a repository. Next go to your code, and in the front end stop the server, and then use git init to initialize an empty git, then use git add dot to add file, then git commit, and the commit message will be node frontend, and then let's copy this one, git branch, paste it here, then add this remote origin, and finally push your project. That's it. Now it will push your project to the GitHub. And that's it, it's completed. Now if you refresh the page, you can see we have our front end here. Now we are going to deploy our front end Next.js application in Vercel. So if you don't have account in Vercel, you can create one for free. So let's go to the Vercel dashboard, and here I am going to click here to add new project, and then I'm going to import the one that I recently committed, which is this node yt frontend. Import this one, and then we have to give an environment variable, and you have to be careful here. So if I go to the front end, then variable, and you can see we have only one, which is next public API URL. So copy this and paste it here, and the value will be the deployed URL of our backend. We are not going to use the local host here, we're going to use our deployed URL. So let me go to the render dashboard. So this is the one we deployed recently. Let's copy the URL, and here it will be this URL slash API slash viewer. So here you can see API slash viewer. So this will be our environment variable for next public API URL. Now click here to add, and that's it. Now click here to deploy. It will deploy your project in Vercel. Let's wait some time to complete the deployment. So our deployment is completed. Now click here to continue to dashboard. Now here you have a URL. So if I click here, now this is the application that running on live server. So this is not your local host. Here you have a link. Now you can share it to anyone and they can see the same page, and the data is coming from a deployed backend. So that's awesome. Now let's check if our features are also working in the deployed version or not. So if I click here to add node, let's say deployment is completed. Now if I click here to add node, you can see our add node functionality is working. Let's edit this one. So let's say MERN deployment and click here to update node. Now you can see here we have the updated title. Here we have the last update. Now let's delete this, and it's also deleted successfully. So all of our features are also working in the deployed version. Now we just completed a monster application from setup to deployment. And that's it for today. If you have any question related to this project, you can ask me in the comment section. And if you like the video, please subscribe our channel for more interesting web development content. Thanks for today.